say, man, I don't know her. She's too quiet.
What up, though? It's your girl, She's Too Quiet, and welcome back to the She's Too Quiet podcast. She's Too Quiet is all about remembering your voice matters. Although you're quiet, people are actually interested in you. They want to know where you go, where you don't go, what you like, and what you don't like. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Your voice matters. Welcome back to the She's Too Quiet podcast. I am happy that it's officially the end of the week. Shout out to all the fathers out there. It is Father's Day weekend. Fathers, we need you, we appreciate you, we love you. If you lost your father, we do want to just take a moment of silence for those that we lost. Again, although they're not here in body, they are with us in our hearts. So if you'll please just bear with me for a few moments, let's take a moment of silence for our lost fathers. Thank you. So, let's hop right into today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about me versus me. This whole life is really a me versus me battle. It is not you versus him. It's not about you versus a family member, you versus society. It is all internal. It's you versus you. Will you win or will you lose? And when I think about me versus me or you versus you, it's that depiction of the devil and the angel on the shoulders. Y'all remember? There's one in like this red haze and has a pitchfork. And then this other one dressed in a robe with a little angel, little halo on. I feel like that is really how it is through life. And we have to figure out which me are we gonna flick off our shoulder. The angel or the devil? Which one? And I realized that we have to hurry up and decide, pick a side, and stay on that side because there is way too much temptation out there that is waiting for you to lean to the wrong side. So your girl was outside last week. I went to a couple of events. On Monday last week, I went to a podcast tour with the Perry's podcast tour. That was on Monday. On Tuesday, it was actually Thursday. On Thursday, I went to the Welcome to Christian R&B tour. And then Friday, I went to a little game night. And actually, Saturday, too, I went to go hear my pastor preach at the PAW youth service in Fort Worth. So your girl was really outside last week, and let me tell you this, my mind was on a different level. Like, I didn't expect to really be outside that much last week, but once I realized, okay, you're gonna be outside this week, I was kind of surprised at what my mind did to me. Have y'all ever been in that space where you're ready to have so much fun, you're ready to be outside, you're ready to just, be young, vibrant, and free? And I couldn't get away from my mind. Like, has that happened? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, although I was there in these spaces, a part of me feels like I wasn't there. I was like watching a different way, and I didn't anticipate watching this way. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta let me know in these comments if you feel what I'm saying. So let's just start off with the podcast tour with the Perrys. This first event really kind of caught my eyes or my ears because it was a Monday night, and this venue was pretty full with people ready to listen to Preston Perry and Jackie Hill Perry talk about their podcast and he has a book coming out, or it came out already, and it's called How to Tell the Truth. So in the beginning, he was talking a little bit about evangelism. Jackie, she was talking about, a lot of different things. Actually, it was long. Now that I think about it, I think this was about 2.5 to 3 hours. I was shocked by that personally. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, it's great to know that I got my money's worth, but I really didn't expect all of the nuggets, all of the time spent, the different segments. So it was cool. But one of the things that she said that really piqued my interest and my ears was when she was speaking about Texas as a region. A lot of these famous people, they travel a lot and they visited different cities and countries and stuff like that. And she began to talk about Texas and the fact that we are in an area where most of us are Christian, but we don't necessarily live our lives as Christians. And my mind was just like, yo, that is so true, because although we profess to be Christians, there is a lot of people not living like Christians, particularly in this area. And, it's kind of hard on podcasts because I always feel like I am walking on eggshells. Like, I don't want to say anything to offend anyone, and then I hope my words don't get misconstrued. But what I'm trying, like, we all know, I'll just say it like this. We all know that there's a lot of Christians out there that don't act like Christians. But it's interesting to me when you bring it down and you say Texas, because I would say I'm from Texas. I've been here most of my life. So I've seen different parts of Texas, and I see what you mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see what you see. And when she started talking about that, I started thinking about the 7 churches in Revelations. And what if, just, thinking of all of this, God is in heaven looking down on us, and all those 7 churches are placed in different parts of the world, and you see little old Texas, and which church are we by? Like, categorically. And I was just mind blown, because that is so true. How are we going to change the narrative? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we going to, in a me versus me conversation, how am I personally gonna change that narrative to where somebody from outside of my region can come into my region and tell us about us? You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, that's crazy. So that was one of the things that really piqued my interest. And, I'm starting to really try to bring things more into myself. A lot of times we spend a lot of time looking at other people, but I'm trying to really turn some of the things that I'm hearing, that I'm seeing, that I'm reading, and turn it back and look at myself to see, what do I see in me? And I'll tell you what, for a quiet girl out here in 2024 trying to live holy, it's an interesting climate, because you don't want to be seen necessarily as holier than thou. And then at the same time, there's this sect of people that feel like you are not interested in having fun. I'll just put it like that. If people feel like you don't want to have fun, they think you are like this holier than thou person. But no, I want to have fun too. Like, don't get me wrong, I love fun, but I just like a certain type of fun. And like I said before, certain things can ostracize you, and that's why it's so important to just find a tight-knit friend group that can understand you, because that's always been a battle of mine personally, is trying to listen to the voice of God, trying to make sure that I'm not around people who are not in my best interest. And when I don't see fruit, or I'm not sure if there's fruit, or I know there's no fruit, like, I always have a hard time on figuring out how do I interact with this person now, or what boundaries should I set up, what boundaries should I relinquish, because I can see a withering tree, or I can see dead fruit. Now, how do I in turn interact with that person? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that, weird or something? But that's been like my whole thing growing up, even before I really got heavily, into the church and stuff. I've always been this type of person that really observes people. And in this stage of my life right now, I have a hard time attaching myself to anything that doesn't bear fruit. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. So anyways, back to the topic of conversation. It's really a you versus you type of season right now, and you have to make sure that you are willing to close doors in your life, and that you're willing to really do a lot of self-examination to make sure that weaker you is not in control. Okay, so for me, even like this past week, I had to close a door. Oh man, that door been open for so long, y'all. I mean, that door was almost stuck open. And I came to a point where I'm like, I've been struggling really to close this door for a long time. I'm like, should I close it? Should I leave it open? What if I need to go back in? What if I need to come out? What if there's something inside? And I really had to just sit with myself and be like, listen, why is this door open? Do you need the door? Why is there so much, unknown about whether or not you need to close this door? So I did it. I had to make an executive decision, and, I closed the door. And I think that's what we need to do, guys. Me versus me, you versus you. If you're battling right now, go and do a self-evaluation and see what doors in your life are still open that you may need to close. It's going to be hard, but I'm telling you, you need to get those doors closed, like Monsters Inc. Send the door. Bring me a new door. Send the door up. Send the door down, left or right. I need a new door. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I encourage you guys to do that. And another thing with this battle of me versus me is the fact that sometimes you really can't see things. I know there was a podcast I talked about, Lord, help us to see it. Sometimes we don't know what we're walking into, and sometimes we do know. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I think a lot of times we try to unsee things that we've already seen. And like the reality is you cannot unsee it. It is what it is. And we waste a lot of time trying to act like we don't see things when it's dead in our face. And how much time are we going to waste trying to ignore things that we've seen already? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and close the door. Now, back to my activities of last week. Another thing that I just want to talk about real quick is the Welcome to Christian R&B tour. Now, this tour was in a church. It was kind of a smaller venue. I would say there was about 100 people in the venue, so it was really small, intimate type of concert. And, I'll tell you, like, I like to listen to that music, like the Christian R&B music, like when I'm home on the weekends. It's got a really soulful, chill vibe, talking about the love of God, all of that. Like, I really enjoy it. However, I don't know if I like it in concert form, or I don't know if I would go to a show to see it, because you just gotta be careful, guys, in this whole me versus me. Like, keep your stronger angel, like, keep your angel strong, keep your angel safe, because some instances I felt like my mind went back to a different time in my life. Okay, but this is a Christian R&B tour though, so why is my mind teleporting back to the old times, but it's all about the environment, the atmosphere, the people and the artists, because this is so new, right? So what do you expect out of these artists? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what you expect when you go to like a Marvin Sapp concert. You know what to expect when you go to even a Kurt Franklin concert. You kind of know what you're expecting. But when you're going to something labeled as Christian R&B, what are we expecting? And I had my own expectations going, but when I got in the environment, I was conflicted, because it's like, Lord, what do you think? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever had to just ask God, what does he think about the things in your life? Have you ever had to ask God, what do you think about me going here? What do you think about me wearing this? What do you think about me doing this? And as I was there, that question kind of popped up in me, like, Lord, what say ye? What do you think about this? Because do I expect a Christian R&B artist to come out in slacks and a button-up shirt? No, not necessarily. Do I expect them to come out looking a little gothic? No, I really didn't. You know what I'm saying? But like, what do I expect? Like, this is so new. You know what I'm saying? And I just really thought to myself, okay, not everything is a good idea. As much as you like it, as much as you think you should do it, as much as it looks like a lot of fun, some things are just not a good idea. So my resolve, don't get me wrong, I really appreciate and support the artists, Stevie Rizzo, Don Reddy. They had a few other acts too in between. They had Young Chris, Sam Rivera couldn't be there. I really do enjoy these artists, but I'm gonna enjoy them on my phone. I'm gonna enjoy them when I'm working out. We'll check back. I'll check back, in a little bit to see how things have progressed in this genre. But yeah, it was just interesting. Another thing, okay, this is gonna be my last thing. I'm talking about me versus me, okay? I'm still trying to, keep on theme. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about this, but for me, I'm conflicted a little bit, because I really get, how do you say it, like, tense when I hear a lot of people kind of discouraged, or not discouraged, but talking down on how we were brought up in the faith. And don't get me wrong, like, I hear some of the arguments, I hear some of the words people are saying, like they were trying to make us do things that weren't in the Bible. They were trying to make us, be almost like a cult. We had to do this, we had to do that, and all that stuff. But it's like, the older I get, the more I understand, because that produced godly fear. And right now, there is no godly fear in a lot of these places. Now that I'm trying to go outside a little bit, when I go outside, a lot of people ain't moving with godly fear. And a lot of the things, don't get me wrong, they were all not necessary. All of those things that they used to have us doing growing up in church and stuff was not needed. That is so true. But at the same time, it made you who you are today. You know what I'm saying? And I just hate that a lot of us pick and choose what we want to keep from back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, that they made us do this and they made us do that. But then when it suits you, I remember, like, just embrace it. Just put it as a part of your fabric, but don't, ridicule and talk down on it. And that comes with, a lot of things is coming out now that I'm just really, I don't know, I feel like, Lord, what is this? Like, artists and people who are Christians, they just talk so negatively about the faith. It's like the non-believers, they got that on lock already. Like, why are we now aligning with them and talking down on the church? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? What are we doing? And in this me versus me, you really have to stand your ground on your values and your beliefs, because even the ones that say that they're Christians and believe what you believe, we need to uphold the faith. We need to uphold, repentance. We need to uphold godly character. We need to uphold marriage. We need to uphold, the pillars of the faith. But to see my brother and my sister and my pastor and my, best friend keep talking down on these, world stages, I just like, Lord, what you think? What you thinking, Lord? Like, how do you feel? And even like some of the things we do, it's me versus me. Like, are you putting more of your flesh or your spirit in what you're doing? Are you putting more of your feelings into how you're talking, how you're connecting with people? Like, what is your compass? Like, who's guiding your ship? What part of you is guiding your ship? And I just feel like, Lord, help us. It's been laid on my heart to consecrate myself, just because of everything that we take in daily, everything we see, we watch, we hear. And at this point, I feel like I'm all filled up on all of that. Like, I need to deplete that part of me and fill myself up with God, because right now it's just a lot going on, and I really need to make sure that I'm in tune with God and what He would have me to do, because you will really find yourself in a hole if you're not careful. And it's so easy to get sidetracked. Christian R&B tour, I'ma just, don't get me wrong, they did pray, they had a little worship time and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, some of the things drew you back to 2012. Like, is that my own personal convictions? Does that happen to you? It may just be me. I just may not be able to go there. For me, I may not be able to participate in those things. You may be strong enough to do it, and that's good. But for me, God is like, I need you to hold on a minute. Sometimes we get advice from so many people that we don't check with God to hear His advice, and He's the one. I just saw something on Instagram. He's the one that's been tried and true since we knew Him, yet we choose to, put our faith and our trust in all of these people. But we really need to be looking to Him to figure out the direction that we need to go in, what we need to engage in, and all of that stuff. So I encourage you to keep your eyes on God, keep your eyes on the things above. Don't glorify your former self. I've been seeing that a lot lately. You can hear it in some people's speech, how much they long to be who they was, right? But in this me versus me, you need to get that little devil off your shoulder and don't miss him. Don't miss him. We all know what happened to Lot's wife. Looking back, no, don't. After you get rid of them, don't miss them, because you'll miss God trying to, find yourself where you left yourself. You know what I'm saying? You'll mess around and miss God. So I encourage you to reimagine yourself, create new goals for yourself in the Lord. A lot of times we feel like we've arrived. We feel like there's no more we can do. We've heard it all. We read it all. We've done it all. But in reality, there is so much more required of us. And I speak to myself, okay? Because I've been at the point in life where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do all that no more. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, I know what I hear. I know what I know, what I know. You know what I'm saying? And God is just speaking. There's more that I require. You think you have it all figured out, but little do you know, there's another level. You can think you passed all the levels, but it's still another one. And once we realize that we have to just keep aiming and going up, I think we'll be surprised at, what God has in store for us. Unfortunately, this will be the last episode of the She's Too Quiet podcast. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect myself from what the world wants me to do. I feel like I've just been doing too much TikTok, too much Netflix, too much phone, just the things of the world. Have y'all seen that calendar they got out with everything that happens in each month? They had the Drake stuff was on one month, and then they had something else. They had the Trump thing that he got convicted was in another month. So they literally have a calendar of all of these, things going on in the entertainment world month to month. And it's just interesting how much focus we put on that stuff and not the things of God. And so God has just really been dealing with me on that. And thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. I'll be coming back in the fall with season 2. Hopefully you've learned a lot about me, and I hope to learn more about you. Please continue to support, share a lot of these podcasts with your family and friends. I really do appreciate the time that we spent together. Like I always say, if you're interested in seeding into the She's Too Quiet podcast, feel free to give using Cash App at the handle $ She's Too Quiet. Don't forget to do 2 things: love God and love people. Until next time, deuces.